Hi everyone! Welcome to another Monday lactation series video. Here on Mondays, this is where we talk all about breastfeeding, whether that is a product, a pump, a question, a myth, tips or trick. We talk all about it. My name is Paige Tufka. I'm a lactation consultant working with Jan's Medical Supply. So let's get into it today. We're going to be talking about the haakaa. A few months back, we talked about tips, tricks, uses. Just going over that another time for those who didn't see it. To use the haakaa and attach it correctly, you want to invert the lid. Then you want to squeeze the side. Then you attach to your breast. Flip the lid. Let go. We have suction. This is the appropriate way to use a haakaa. But with everything, without every product, there's some great and some drawbacks. So let's talk about what are the issues that come with this and what's an alternative product that you can use if this is a problem for you. So going over this is classified as a manual silicone suction pump. So it's not a double electric pump where, you have that rhythmic suction. It's not a full pump, like an electric pump in that sense. But remember that whole thing where we squeezed it and attached it to the breast and it stayed on? There's suction. This does have some suction levels. Depending on how hard you squeeze, it can get up to 270 millimeters of mercury, which is one of the higher settings on a spectrum. Let's talk about what that means. So when you are feeding your baby, the whole idea why we use a product like this is because when you feed a baby, and you have a letdown where the milk starts just squirting out of your breast at faster rates and you really can't control it, it doesn't happen to just one breast, the breast that the baby's feeding on, it happens to both. So this product was designed to catch the milk so it wouldn't just go on your leg or the couch or, your poor partner who's just sitting next to you and getting sprayed, the wet zone. So it's to catch that, but also the suction was made so that we can make sure that, the baby can't just kick it off and it flies around like that, which is great. It's helpful. A lot of moms like it. And I will say myself as a breastfeeding mom, I loved this thing. I really did. But I also was not aware of what it was actually doing to my supplier, my baby at the time. And I would have appreciated having just a full open dialogue about this so I can know the good and the bad to make an informed decision for myself, which is what I'm offering you guys right here, right now. So that is the good part of it. It collects milk. So if you want to have a little extra milk in your fridge, great. This will help you do that with relatively not a lot of effort on your part. You're just catching the milk and putting it in the freezer. I will say for myself, I was able to put 300 to 400 ounces in my freezer in the first month after my second son was born. So there is no reason for really anybody to have hundreds of ounces of breast milk in your freezer. That is literally called feeding your freezer. Did I ever feed that milk to my baby? No, I didn't. It was way too much and he was in bottle feeding. We're working on breastfeeding. So having hundreds of ounces of milk in my freezer from this guy, it seemed great at the time, but then I had this massive oversupply. Okay, so that's a personal story. I do see this personal story reflected in the moms that I work with. So I just want you guys to know, because of the suction that this has, it can cause an oversupply. So if you're not ready to deal with an oversupply, I wouldn't use this all the time. And that's the thing that so many moms get stuck into is, this catches milk, we want to catch the milk, we don't want to waste it, and I hear that. But the suction is catching more than what your body naturally would release. So it's pulling out more because of the suction, and if it's on the entire feed, it's pulling out more. And now let's talk about babies who are being breastfed and they have low or slow weight gain, where they're not gaining as quickly or as fast as that we want to see. And then I find out mom is using the haakaa and she has hundreds of ounces in her freezer, but her baby is not able to meet the weekly weight gains that I want to see. It's another thing. So because this is pulling out significantly more milk from that letdown period on the opposite breast, it's pulling out more than what your body naturally releases. So when you go to switch sides, well, you already had almost an entire milk removal. And not that the breast is completely empty, just baby has to work significantly more to get that milk. So instead of feeding baby to help them gain weight appropriately, moms are instead feeding the freezer that likely is not going to be fed to baby. So this can kind of get you into a negative cycle. So here's my thoughts. If you go back a couple months ago, we have a video talking about the great things. We also have a video talking about some concerns that moms should be aware of. Here's a couple takeaways. Don't use this every single feeding. Maybe use it once or twice a day, and then you'll get 1 or 2 ounces at a time. Cool. That's not too much extra stimulation where it's overwhelming and it's not going to give you a crazy oversupply. So that is fantastic. If you feel like the suction is too high, maybe even painful, so when you do this model where you flip it and you're about to squeeze, put it on your breast, see how hard I'm squeezing this? Do a half squeeze. Don't squeeze it as hard as you possibly can, because the harder you squeeze it, the higher the suction is going to be on your breast, and some moms don't respond well to too much high suction. So you can kind of manipulate how much suction is actually on the breast. Let's do a half squeeze. And here we go. Still suction, but just not so high. So that's another takeaway. What's an alternative? Okay, I want to catch the milk that my body is naturally releasing, but I don't want to create an oversupply, and I don't want to take away the more easily accessible milk from baby before he had an opportunity to go to the other breast. What should I do? There's another product that is good for those situations. Or let's say you had a history of oversupply with your last baby and you're trying to avoid it. So we're looking at frequent mastitis. So there's a lot of issues that can also come with too much supply, just as much as if too little. So we're trying to avoid oversupply. What do? But we don't want to just waste the milk. Well, okay, I'm glad you asked that question, because there's a different product. There is a haakaa ladybug, or I know at Jan's we have the Elvie curve. It's similar as in a silicone milk catcher, but it goes right in your bra. While you're feeding baby on one breast, it goes right in your bra. There's no suction. It's just a silicone collector, something like this. It would look kind of like the top of this. It just, your breast goes in it. There's no suction. It's not attaching itself to the breast, so it's not a pump in any way. It's simply a silicone catcher. So your milk is just gonna drip in that naturally on its own. It's just catching it easily. No extra stimulation, no extra milk removal. It's just what you would have automatically released, it caught it. And you can put that in the freezer. So you could do that, or if you really like this idea with the haakaa, I would recommend to use this maybe once or twice a day, but not every single feeding at every single day. That's where you're gonna get too much of an oversupply. Now, if you wanna catch milk every single feeding, every single day, okay, use something that is a milk catcher that does not have suction, like the Elvie curve. Or if you, maybe let's say, hey, we are struggling with our milk supply, and I'm not really interested in pumping too much because I want to exclusively breastfeed. Okay, you could use this alternatively at every feeding every single day. That could be helpful, but make sure after you're done breastfeeding to also give the milk that you pulled from your breast to baby if they seem unsatisfied, as if they didn't get enough, or if you notice that your baby is not meeting those weekly weight gains. So just a little guidance on that. These are fantastic in a lot of ways, but I think it's important that moms also know the cautionary tag that comes with it is you might have way too much milk that you will never be able to use. Because you gotta remember, let's say baby and you were apart for a whole day and they drink a whole 25, 30 ounces. Okay, but you still need to pump that day, because if you don't, you're telling your body we don't need any of this milk, and it's going to significantly decrease. So having hundreds of ounces in your freezer is not really saving you, because no matter how much baby is eating at the bottle, you still need to pump to maintain your supply. So just a couple of guidance. I know this is a really fun tool, and hey, I really liked it. I still like it, and it is a great tool to catch some extra milk. Maybe you're preparing for a date night. Those are great. Use it occasionally. Don't use it every single day for every single feed. And if you do want to do that, just know what you're signing up for and what the issues can be following it. And if you want to avoid that, look at something that catches milk without the suction, something like our Elvie curve. That would be more of a reasonable, maintainable collecting system versus using a pump. I hope that makes sense. If you guys have any questions or you want to chat about this, maybe you went through this situation yourself, please let me know. I'd love to talk about this, and always feel welcome to message myself or any of your Jan staff members about any questions you have. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.